All right, Mr. Chair, we are live.
Thank you, Walt. Good morning, everyone. We appreciate everybody being on this call and hearing about this topic and the continuation of our discussions. I'd like to open the meeting if I can, if someone would please suggest that. Reed, you're on mute.
So moved.
Yep, I'll move. Yep.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we are in session.
Aye.
Thank you. So we are in session. Today is the continuation of what we've been doing in terms of continuing to look back on some projects to make sure we have any questions we got about those answered, and then to mostly spend time on the new projects that we've yet to evaluate, or at least to talk about publicly. I know everybody's read the documents and done some preliminary scoring, but it's to hear from folks. Ray, thank you for joining us. Dan, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate all the work you guys have done in getting these things constructed, and then the work that you do every day out in the community. So thank you for that. And we'll be hearing what you have to say about these projects to help us understand them to the best extent possible, so that we can do the best job we can scoring them. That's what we're going to do. Let's talk quickly about the minute meetings that Walt submitted or sent to us. There were a couple of versions of it. We made some adjustments to it, but has everybody had a chance to review the meeting minutes? And are there any suggested adjustments to those from our meeting we had last week in Andrews, which I thought was a very, very productive meeting? Any suggestions? Everybody okay with it? So can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Yep, Mr. Chair, just for clarification, we actually have two sets. We have the minutes from last Tuesday, April 9th, and the ones from April 11th. We would need two separate motions, one for each set of minutes.
Okay, and I'm sorry, just so I'm clear, what were the two dates?
April 9th.
Yeah.
And then April 11th. So we could take the April 9th first and
Okay,
then.
so if somebody would make a motion on April the 9th minutes, we've all reviewed them.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
To make it
Thank
so
you.
people can look at that thing.
Aye.
And then the 11th.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thought I'd heard some background noise about a question about those being available and visible. They are available and visible to the public. They're all the notes and minutes, all the content that we've created, all the video streams of all these meetings are all out there and available. There is an exception or two where we just had some technical errors. I think last week was one of those. But in that case, we put more detail in the minute meetings. But generally speaking, they're all out there and available at the county website. Just type in CPST and you can get to them. So in terms of meeting minutes, let's move on then to review of projects. So the ones that we've reviewed so far, are there any that anybody wants to talk about, or any sort of hanging chad kind of questions that you want to bring up right now? We'll obviously have an opportunity to do that moving forward. Or is everybody ready to jump into the new discussions with Ray and Dan? Okay,
I'm ready to move
then.
forward.
Yeah, let's jump in.
Let's move forward. Thank you. Ray, thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate that. And what we'd love for you to do, and I think, Walt, you can flash the list up on the screen, is basically just talk us through the projects that you had a hand in getting submitted. You're welcome to go in any order you like, whatever's either priority order for you in your view, just a straight sequencing, or if there's some interdependencies and you want to sort of go through them logically from an engineering standpoint, that's all up to you. And if you want to make some opening comments more broadly and then go into each one, that's fine, or just tackle them one at a time. That is all up to you. We've been spending somewhere between 2 minutes and 10 minutes on each one because they deserve different degrees of attention, but we will leave that in the hands of the experts. So I'll turn it over to you, and people will probably ping you with questions or raise their hand through this process as they have questions.
Mr. Chair, can you see my screen with the spreadsheet?
Looks good, Walt. Yep.
Thank you very much, Mark. And
I'm not seeing it.
You're not seeing it, Robert. Is everybody else seeing it?
No, I'm not seeing it.
Yes,
about
I
you?
can see it.
Yeah, I see it. I've got it.
That's weird. Are you able to see the video faces, Robert? Robert? You're looking
I'm
muted,
talking.
Rob.
My head off and muted. Yeah.
Are you able to see
No,
people's faces?
Let's just keep moving.
Okay, all it is, by the
No,
way, that
I'm
he's
seeing their
showing is
names,
the,
so-
yeah, he's just showing the basic spreadsheet that we've all got and are very familiar with.
Oh, good to go.
Okay, thanks,
Good to
Ray.
go.
Ray, over to you.
thank you, Mark. And good morning to everyone else as well. Thanks for the opportunity to partake in this process. I think is very much needed in our community. I'm glad to be a part of it. Last time we spoke, we were discussing bike path and multi-purpose path, and I think I went through the Parkersville, Pettigrew, and ML King. And I think I was ending on the Choppy Road multi-path, and most of these paths, they're all kind of are centered around the same vision for the county, is to provide recreation opportunities for our citizens and our guests. And the Choppy Path, project number 38, is one that we've already discussed, but I wanted to know if anyone had any questions about those that I've already discussed, and whether or not I did complete number 30 the last time we spoke. I think I ended on that one because of time. Anyone has any question about that one or need me to further discuss that one or any of the others that I've already discussed?
I think we're
You
good
may have
with that.
touched on it, Ray, but I think the only question I had was about, availability of any other funding sources to help with, pushing this through.
Currently, there aren't any other funding source available. Certainly we could, look toward that, but there aren't any available right now. No, sir. But this one again, as I mentioned earlier, this path is coming from one of the latest and greatest state park in the state of South Carolina at the Rocky Point Park, and that's really we think it could be advantageous to this county to have a state park, to have all of the amenities that Rocky Point Park has, and I just think it's great. And having this multi-purpose path that leads up to it will be another added bonus to our community and help enrich that community and help with some economic benefits as well. I think the work along Choppy Road will be improved because in most cases we will be providing some drainage improvements as well. In all of this county, we have drainage issues, and whenever we have opportunities to improve our drainage, is an added bonus. And so I'm happy about that. The cost that we have presented is based on some estimate we received from our consulting engineer who did the conceptual plan a year ago, and those numbers was based on COVID numbers, and I think substantially is still current today for the most part. There's a lot of work involved with this project, but I think it's doable. And that's what we have on project number 38, the Choppy multi-purpose path. And if you guys have any other questions about that, I'd be glad to try to address that with you now.
Ray, I had one question. So this is Mark. There are a number of these kind of projects that on the surface look pretty similar in terms of what they're trying to do and the benefits. Do you see those as pretty similar. Really similar in terms of benefit and risk. And is there anything you'd encourage us to look at to distinguish between them?
Well, I think the benefits for all of them are pretty similar in nature. Is that we want to get our kids outside to ride their bikes, and our population to be more active. And these amenities will certainly, I think, in a big way, help us to have a much more recreational, induced community, and also invite others to come and visit with us as well. When they see that we are promoting and prescribing these kinds of improvements to our county, I think they'll be excited to know that we have these kinds of amenities. Yes, I think they're all pretty similar, and they're all going to provide some level of drainage improvement along our roadways, and that's an added bonus. It's costly, but it's an added bonus that we have.
And then the second question I had was, given that there is a pretty material price difference in those things, or cost difference, is the primary driver of that cost difference simply footage, or is it more than that?
Well, we kind of use the footage based on historical data to estimate some things, but there are other amenities, and some projects have wetland features that really create another set of concerns, and those projects are a lot more expensive to do. A good example would be ML King, where we have the McKenzie Circle. I call it McKenzie Circle because that crossing is near McKenzie Circle, and we can easily identify that. But in order for us to do the work that we are proposing on ML King, it would be very foolish on our part not to make that improvement across ML King. So that's an added improvement necessitated by the improvements that we can do with the back multi-purpose path. And just putting the multi-purpose path without fixing that problem it wouldn't be smart on our part at all.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Now I want to go back for a second to DOT. There were some questions the last time about DOT's effort, and I did get a chance to speak with my colleague at SDDOT, and he did provide what I'm sending this to you right now, this prioritized list of how they want to prioritize the roadways. And you can share that as you need to with the committee of how they want to prioritize the resurfacing projects for DOT. Okay.
Any insight, Ray, on how they think about prioritization? Is it a sort of who's been complaining the longest kind of mindset, or most traffic? Like, what's your or worst condition? Any thoughts on what went into their thinking?
Most agencies such as DOT and us for that matter as well, we have a ranking system where we can make assessments that's really kind of fair and reasonable.
Okay.
And so they use that criterion to establish some baseline to establish which roadway has the most effect and would need the improvements. And looking at the priority listing now, it appears that the ranking is based on the need for improvement. Yes, it does.
That's helpful.
Yes.
Well, if you'll send that over, that's super helpful.
Yes.
Thank
And
you for doing that.
also, there was another question regarding if funds were available for these 9 projects, would the funds that DOT would automatically or regularly have for these roads go to another agency or another county? No, the monies that DOT had planned or will be planning for improvements will be staying in Georgetown County and just be assigned to another road. in the priority list.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I think
Yeah, super.
that was good to know that, you know, that they certainly consider that, and that money comes to Georgetown and it will be based on Georgetown needs. Yes. Okay. Let's go to another good surprise for you today. Project 40. I got some good news for you there.
I'm not sure anybody's ever introduced a project with good news, but go ahead.
Yes, sir. This is good news. I think our original, somehow we did some transposition of numbers. The dredging project for Georgetown County, somehow we transposed our numbers, did a bad job in calculating. But the fact of the matter is, this project is $39 million, and we have been working with the state. We already have, I think, about $14 million committed, and we are looking at getting some additional money from the state as well, now $25 million. So basically, what the county of Georgetown, we need to have some skin in the game. And so the powers to be say, hey, Georgetown County, this is a great project for the county. Show me your skin in the game. And instead of $21 million that we have listed here, that number now is $1 million.
Oh, 1 million.
Yes, sir.
Ray, we're gonna have to have you back at every meeting.
I know, I'm the man.
By the way, just for the public listening, the topic we're on, it may be a little hard for you guys to see, is number 40, which is Merle's Inlet dredging, and it originally had a much larger number in there of 21 million, and so based on the other fundings, you're saying that's now at 1.
Yes, sir.
But the total cost is
That's about $39 million based on today's dollars and what we expect to have in 2025. It's a 3-year project. It's not a 1-year deal. It's takes about 3 years to get the entire estuary dredged, and we intend, if funds are available, to start in 2025. We've been very, I guess, successful in working with our delegation, state delegation members, and with the funding that we already have in place. And they've been doing a good job in Columbia helping secure funding for this project. This project really is to improve tidal access to Merle's Inlet. You know, we want to improve navigation and make sure that the boarding, that we can boost, you know, port activities, and by doing that, we think we will attract businesses and help maintain them and stimulate the local economy. I think having Merle's Inlet dredge provide not only for charter boats, but for private boat owners to be able to maneuver in crab and fish in that estuary as they would want to. Currently, they can't do because of all the sand and silt that has accumulated in that estuary. You know, when we have the channels dredge, we have the opportunities to have larger vessels coming in and out of there. We certainly going to enhance tourism in the area, and you know, basically, I think some of our work may be possible to help re-nourish some of the beaches along Huntington State Park as well. So there's some opportunities to dredge and do some very positive things. One of the things that this project is contemplating, and we've been working with the permitting agency, is to have a near shore disposal site. And that means that we had never done this in Georgetown before. I've went through about 3 dredging projects before over the years, but what we are proposing now is an offshore, a near shore dredging site. Basically, what I'm saying is that we'll dredge the areas that's needed to be dredged, and the deposit will be deposited offshore in a near shore condition, which is a good situation. And that's going to help cut the cost down tremendously, as opposed to what we used to do, is very cost intensive. This is a smart way of doing it, particularly large quantities that we are contemplating. dredging in this area. Um,
And who has to say yes
all of the,
to that? Is that a DHEC and OCRM kind of thing?
OCRM, Army Corps of Engineers, Fish and Wildlife, every regulatory agency out there has some skin in this game. They all do. And so our consultants been working with them and having communications with them about where we are now with the project and feeding them information about the project. So no one will be surprised. Even other groups, conservative conservation groups that have a voice in our community, we've been meeting with them to present the project to them to make sure they understand what we're trying to do. We're not trying to offset the apple cart, but try to improve the condition in our community without being adversely impacting the environment. So everything is about balancing the work with the environment. And I think, what we've done thus far with our consultant is to have those meetings to ensure them that we are trying to do everything smartly and sustainably. So that's
Ray,
what
the nearshore depositing, is that, you said it was first of a kind for Georgetown County. Is it first of a kind for the state, or is the state, the coastal community's done that before?
This is the first for the state. In fact, it's done in Florida, I think, before, but in South Carolina it hasn't been done. And that's what's happening here. It's really a great opportunity to we're looking at dredging about 250,000 cubic yards of material every year for 3 years, roughly about 750,000 cubic yards of material that we are looking at, dredging over the 3-year period of time. In average, we're looking at dredging 6 to 8 feet of depth in this process. It's really something that is needed, and I think it has value, and it has not only economic benefits, but I think from a life, just a quality of life is better too as well.
So I think you've spoken to sort of like the complications on permitting and things like that. What about the funding? Can you talk for a second about the funding and how secured it is, or your expectations about the security of it?
Yes, sir.
And the time frame of that.
So, I mean, in order to start this project, we received $2 million from the state through our delegation members, and we're spending a lot of money with the consultants and sub-consultants and experts in this area, expert in that area, because everybody has to come to the table and make sure that the Fish and Wildlife people, the Duck Unlimited people, that all of their concerns are handled and considered. So we bring all the best of the experts to the table to help us with this. Now, we received to date $14.3 million already in hand from the state. Okay, that's money in the bank. We've been using that money to do the design work and the permitting work and studies and meetings. And so that money is being spent right now. We this year submitted earmark requests to our delegation members, maybe about 30 days ago, for $25 million as well. So we are working with them on a constant basis to try to give them the confidence that this is a very viable project, and it will be good if we could make it happen. And dredging is one of those things that has to happen every 10 years or so. If you don't, you go back to ground zero. So it's not as one and done, you finish and it's done. Nope, you got to do it on a regular basis, because siltation and sediments have a tendency to go back in those low-lying areas. This is about 104 acres of area that we are that's considered the dredge area, and dredging only is done from November through March. So that's a window of opportunity, because March is when those turtles stop moving. We got to shut everything down and get out of the way, let the turtles do what they do. And so It's going to be a nice project, but we can't do it all in 1 year. Hopefully, every year we can do about 250,000 cubic yards of material.
I laughed. You said you got to get out of the way of the. I thought you said tourists, but you said turtles.
The turtles, yes. And vis-a-vis the tourists too, because usually in November through March we have less tourists, but summer months we have a lot of them down there. But it provides opportunity not only for the turtles but for the tourists as well.
Super. Any questions? Any other questions for Ray on this one from anyone?
Ray, what's the useful life of the project? How long do you think this dredging will last before it'll have to be done again?
8 to 10 years.
8 to 10 years. Okay.
Yes.
And we did it 10 years or so ago.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
I must admit that 10 years ago we didn't have this expansive area. We did the various channels and that was there, and we did the main creek and some other channel A, B, and C and D. Now we go into other areas that we didn't have the capacity to do, and to do a better job in providing access for boaters in the areas that they can't reach now because of the dredge material that has accumulated in those areas. So, but every 8 to 10 years is ideally a good time to go in there and dredge, because that's the nature of the beast. Any other questions?
I think on that one we're good.
Okay. Moving on to the next project is project number 41. 41 is the Garden City Groins.
Yeah.
Yes. And so a year ago, the county engaged the services of a coastal science engineering group. And they study, and for that matter, the dredging project, we bring in experts who do marine work. I mean, that's what they're focused on, and testing and modeling and those kind of things. So we have another firm that really is an expert in beachfront management. What can we do, Georgetown County, first to develop a beachfront management plan to make sure that our beaches along the coast of Georgetown, those have public access, and the others as well, because this is one contiguous area that we have to deal with. And so we hired a firm to help us put our hands around updating our beachfront management plan, and also help us to, more importantly, to have engineered beaches. Now, engineered beaches is just that, is that you need to know the topography, the profile of the beachfront areas. So if there was a disaster, for instance, if there's a hurricane, we are able to calculate based on our engineered beaches the loss of sand that we experience, because we have a plan in place that shows the existing conditions and the loss that may have occurred during the event. We can calculate that. So indeed, and the FEMA saying, hey guys, Georgetown County, if you guys want to get reimbursed for lost sand during this hurricane, show me the paper. Show me your engineer's beaches. And up until this point, we don't have a beach engineer's plan. So we are working on getting that developed. And so we'll have in place in case there's a disaster. And also we have to, the plan is to make our beaches engineered, make it a nice beach, and the professor, the consultant help us, but telling us what we should be doing to make our beaches sustainable and attractive. Now, along with that, they also, the big thing is three things. One is the beachfront management plan. Two is the engineered beaches. We got to have engineered beaches. They go out there and do surveying work, and they do profiles, they do site surveillance work, and to tell us what we have out there and what we need to do in the next several years to make it a nice beach. So that's coming. But also in the process of that, they also determine what areas of the beach could use growings. And growing fields are infrastructure that's put in place to help, I guess I can't say control, but help manage the flow of beach sand coming down or going up in a certain direction. So basically, the growings are there to help stabilize and help with renourishing the beaches. You know, after an event, after a hurricane or something, most times the beaches are depleted, and over time with attrition, the beach usually grows back naturally itself, and the growings help to retain sand in an area that has been depleted. So the engineers propose that we install 2 growings on the southern portion of Garden City. They estimate about 40 to 50,000 cubic yards of material is lost in this area. And these growing fields, basically, in most cases, we have aluminum apparatus, or you can have a rock field. It basically is there to stop the erosion. Okay, and so the idea of having these beach the growings is to help with that. The growings help, I think, preserve the dunes. You know, it helps with the diverse ecosystem that we have in these areas as well. So we can, we can start doing a better job of planning how to retain sand in our areas. The firm that we have, they specialize in this. I mean, that's what they do. They're a coastal science engineering group. You know, they specialize in coastal zone design and beach restoration. That's what they do all along the coast of South Carolina and other places of the country. And we feel very confident to have them on board with us to help us with this. As I mentioned earlier, these growings are usually built with sheet piles, or they can be constructed with rock formation. Just create an apparatus to stop the flow of dirt or sand from one place to another. We think that having a stable beach in Garden City will help stabilize the tax revenue and increase tourism in that area as well. And if we don't somehow stabilize the sand erosion, the houses potentially along the beaches in Garden City may be compromised. So as far as other revenue sources, the combination tax revenue is another form of revenue, because accommodation tax is being generated from the properties that are rented to the public in Garden City, and that certainly could be another source of funding for this project as well. I think it's a good project.
Yes, a couple of questions. So
yes, absolutely.
I'm curious. I know Pawleys well and very familiar with the groin system there. Are there groins north of Pawleys?
Oh yes,
There are a bunch of them.
Yeah, we have several in Garden City. In fact, a long time ago, we put in some new ones in Garden City, and we replaced some older ones that were, really beyond its useful life. So we did, I guess 10, 15 years ago, put in some new growings up there, because the older one was just rural.
And is this beach currently struggling to sustain itself right now? Is it losing a lot, or like what's the dynamic there?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's averaging around 40,000 cubic yards of sand lost annually along the beach. I mean, it's really having a hard time with that. And naturally, the groins will help replete those loss of sand that we that was engaged there.
Ray can probably tell you that it's probably our most active, utilized estuary too. I mean, that place is busy with people. You know, it is that landing there in Merle's Inlet has to be the most utilized landing in Georgetown County.
Yes, it is. In fact, we're making some improvements. Just a side note, we're making improvements to that landing in Merle's Inlet right now, as well. So that's one of my projects that we have on the dock right now, and it's being done. So Merle's Inlet is busy. I mean, the restaurant row, Marsh Harbor Walk, the Marsh Front area, you know, those areas are very important to this county. And, you know, over in Garden City, you know, which is adjacent to it, is that these groins will help, you know, stabilize that area as well.
Yeah, but those vacation rentals and, you know, all that, Lee Hewitt's probably had a lot to do with getting that dredging accomplished, hasn't he, Ray?
Yes, sir. Lee Hewitt and Senator Goldfinch, both of them, they were very big on pushing it through the various houses of Columbia. Yes.
And what, talk about the permitting required to pull this off?
Similar permits. I mean, we have to go through all of the regulatory agencies that's out there. Army Corps of Engineers, Fish and Wildlife, you name it, DHEC, OCRM, they all will be involved in permitting. The permitting process is long and very detailed, but it's just the process in which we have to go through. Yes, sir.
Okay. Other questions for Ray on this one?
Ray, is there
Just
the
a quick
closest-
question.
just real quick, where's the closest public beach access to where these groins are? Because these groins looks like they're in front of Inlet Point.
Yes, there's a public beach access just north of Inlet Point, right there at the gate there at Inlet Point.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, the Dolphin,
Yeah,
right below Dolphin.
Yep. All right. Thanks.
Mhm.
Yeah, how long, Ray, from the time that, you know, how long does it take to get these drawings in, and how long will it take to complete the project?
Well, the biggest part, sir, is to get it permitted. Getting the design is pretty, you know, 3 to 6 months. Permitting is the unknown, because you have all of these agencies that have to be, you know, vetted, and they have to, and also the other community concern group as well. We have people out there, you know, that's really that's what they do. They object to things like this. They don't want it done, and they can have a lawsuit to try to shut it down. So that process could be 6 months, could be 2 years of getting that done. And I can't give you a date right now, sir, on how long it's going to take to permit it.
Oh, no, yeah, not necessarily. Yeah, just trying to get a picture. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments on this one? Okay.
Okay. Alrighty. Let's go to number 54, please.
54 is landfill maintenance facility.
Yes. If you have not visited our integrated solid waste facility on Highway 51, which is commonly known as the landfill, the dump, you need to visit it. You'll be impressed on the work that we're doing there on a daily basis of collecting the waste, the recyclables for this county. I think this is an engine that's quietly kept, but it's very important that we have an active landfill in Georgetown County. one of the things that we have a lot of equipment over there, a lot of heavy duty expensive equipment. For instance, we just purchased a compactor for $975,000. I mean, one piece of machine, $975,000. And that machine's job is to ensure that we have the compaction density at the landfill needed to extend the useful life of the landfill. Without having that compactor there, we can dump waste all day long. And if you know, you have a landfill it reaches its permanent limits because we did a poor job in compacting it. So we have to find a way to maintain our equipment and be able to add value to its efficiency in this entire operation. So when I met with the staff at the landfill, said, Ray, we need a place where we can service our equipment because DHEC requires us to have that landfill maintained on a daily basis. If the machine, as you know, a machine may go down, and we have to have a place that we can maintain the unit. For instance, we have a compactor is down, it's raining outside. We can't do anything with the machine because it's outside in the elements. Having a maintenance facility will allow us to bring it into place to continue with the servicing and the maintenance of this machine and put it back to work. Now, if we don't have our landfill properly covered, DHEC will give us a citation, and no one wants to go to Columbia with a DHEC citation. I don't want to go to Columbia. And so what we try to do now is find ways of trying to ensure that we can maintain our equipment better than we have in the past. It just makes sense for us to do so. And so basically, I want to reduce the time that our equipment is down. I really need to do that. I have currently a bulldozer that's down. We need to replace the engine, and we have to be careful about where this work is done. I got to take it. I got to move it from the landfill to a fleet repair facility, and hope that it's going to get done in a timely fashion. As opposed to if I had a maintenance facility on the landfill, I can move it there and have those maintenance guys come and make the repairs at that location. It just makes sense to us. It's long overdue, and we thought it would be reasonable to have this CPST committee consider the possibility of providing a maintenance facility for Georgetown County. It's very important, in my opinion. Any questions?
For me, I thought y'all wrote that up and it was pretty straightforward. I do appreciate the work y'all are doing in that area. I get good feedback on that from different people.
Yeah, that's both of these are two that I really like because they cover the whole county. So there were the bigger project here, Ray, is one that I'm interested in hearing about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll get to that. That's number 55. We'll get to that in a minute. But I think that number 54 certainly has value, particularly when you start taking in terms of and all my machine of the big dogs. They are really expensive. You know, a bulldozer, a track hoe. I mean, these are not $100,000 piece of equipment. These are hundreds of thousands of dollars, almost $1 million worth of equipment that we have there that we must have operational. If not, DHEC will shut us down or fine us, and I don't want either to happen. Okay, go to number 55, which is a material recovery facility. This one goes back to back in the early 70s, 80s, where we received a building, donated building, I think came from Horry County, I think. And we were given the ability to have a covered area to start recycling our commodities like plastic, metal, cardboard, paper, and everything that we collect from our recycle centers is processed in this building that's 30 years old. And the technology that we have today for a MRF is not labor intensive. In fact, it's just the opposite. But ours today is labor intensive. And the fact of the matter is, we can't find labor to help with the sorting. We used to be able to depend on inmate labor, but since COVID, that has changed dramatically. So we don't have inmate labor like we used to have. We need to hire laborers to come in, and it's a very dirty job. I mean, it is what it is. But what we want to do is come in and build a facility that's state of the art, that has all of the new technology in it to help with the new technology that will help us with being more efficient in this operation. That's what's important. We got 15 recycle centers in Georgetown County, and we collect from them every day. And all of these commodities, plastic, cardboard, come to this MRF, and we have to push it through. And not having the manpower as we used to have, it backs up. And what we don't want to do is to have waste that we could have recycled, and because of the volume of it, we can't recycle. And DHEC say, Ray, you got a problem here. You need to be able to process your recyclables. And what I want to do here is be able to offer the opportunity to build a first-class material recovery facility. Now, we've been working on this for a while. We've been submitting grant applications and to all the environmental granting agencies, and we have not been successful yet. We just have not. And so that we came to this committee with hopes that we can maybe be funded for this project. We think that the optic technology will address the problems that we have now in a great way, and we won't be would not be labor intensive as it once or as it is now, because labor for this kind of work is hard to find, and I think going forward we want to work smarter. That's what we want to do. Anyone has any questions?
Right. Any comments about, there's a lot of debate on the recycling front now as a lot of costs have changed and recoverability has changed. And the payback process, both environmentally and financially, is often debated. I don't know, you're very experienced in this space. Anything you want to offer on that point?
Well, landfill airspace, and the airspace in landfill is, we've got a permitted landfill, and what we want to do is to put or deposit in that landfill only the things that we cannot recycle, because what it does, it maximizes on the airspace, and once the airspace goes away, you have to now build a new landfill, and landfill building is very expensive as well. And over time, it fills up. And so what we want to do, we want to minimize the amount of recyclables that we could otherwise receive a revenue stream from processing. And so not only will it help the environment by not landfilling, we will generate income as well in the process. Now, the question is, do you generate enough income, Ray, to offset the idea of landfilling? I think when you look at the totality of this whole entire matter, yes, when you look at the cost of building a new landfill, it's no question about my mind that we are making the right decision of trying to recycle as opposed to dumping or placing recyclables in the landfill.
Ray, is there any potential matching fund opportunities here?
Again, we've been trying to submit grant applications for a while, and we have not been able to find any match yet. We're still working on it, but we have not been able to find one yet that would say, yeah, if you guys come with half, we'll spend it, we'll give you the other half. But we're still working on it, and we just have not been able to find it yet.
Okay. Very helpful. I'm a little conscious of time. Daniel's been pretty patient over there.
Okay.
What other
Well,
ones do you have?
I just wanted to go over quickly, if we would, P3 and P4.
Yeah.
P3 to P4 is similar to what we've done over there at the other multi-purpose path. This is a continuation of the work that's already been started on Waterside Road. This is two phases, one from Highway 17 to the roundabout, then the other phase is from the roundabout to some distance west toward the Waccamaw River. So this is a two-phase project. There's two projects. The first one is let's see here, from the roundabout to Highway 17. That's the first one. And basically what's being designed here is that we are trying to improve the stormwater drainage along Waterside Road. And in the process, we can construct the multi-purpose paths as well. Again, getting back to what I said earlier about the benefits of this work now is to be able to improve the drainage along Waterside Road. And as I understand it, they've had some problem with drainage along Waterside Road, and this would help them by putting in catch basins and certainly putting in underground drainage systems to help with the flow and keeping it clean and being able to go to its designated location. The first phase is basically the first phase is, let's see here, yeah, it's $1.2 million phase, and DOT has been very much involved with this process as well, helping with some of the cost estimates and being able to help us understand that the partnership with DOT in Georgetown County is very important here, because DOT has the right of way, and DOT is going to work with Georgetown County to make sure that we maintain the pathway and also that their underground systems are maintained as well. So this is a 2-for-1 again, drainage improvement, but at the same time you can have a back path, a multi-purpose path on top of it. Similarly, for the next phase, which is number 50, P4, which is from Waterside Road to the from the roundabout to the Waccamaw River, it's the same thing. This one is a little more expensive, $5.5 million. And it's part of this I2I project. This is phase 3, I think, of the I2I project. And it's important. People want to get from the inlet to the river. And what a wonderful opportunity for guests, for our citizens and our guests to be able to experience the ride from the inlet to the Waccamaw River. These two projects are very important. One is no more expensive than the other because of the terrain they had to go through, but both have value to this community. Any questions?
Only question I had was interdependence. Do you need to do one before the other, or are they both? Could you do
independent?
Independent. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Other questions for Ray on 3 or 4? Anything else, Ray?
No, I think that's all that we had on our list.
That's
well,
all.
thank
You
for
had
the
you had a
opportunity.
lot. We really appreciate the work you guys put into it. I know now that it's over, you're going to go to Disney World. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Literally, you win the award for the biggest sponsor. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll be available if you guys need to talk with me in the future. Walt knows where I reside. He
Awesome.
knows how to get hold of me.
Thank you very much, Ray. You're welcome to listen and stay on, or you're welcome to go do whatever you need to go do.
Yeah, go do what I gotta do.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ray.
Yeah, thanks, Ray.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ray.
All right, let's pivot. We've got Dan with us. Most of you have met Dan because he's attended most of the meetings around the county. Thank you for doing that, Dan. Dan's the town manager for Pawleys. So Dan, same process. I'll just turn it over to you and let you walk us through the projects you've got submitted.
Sure
and thank you
thing.
for being
Thanks,
here.
Mark.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for the invitation, and thanks for the work of this tax commission. I know you guys have put in a lot of hard work, and you also deserve a trip to Disney when this is all said and done. But I think in terms of reviewing the town of Pawleys Island submitted projects, one, I think, common theme that I thought of was each of these in their own way and their own purpose and scope really help with the overall resilience of our community. So I'll probably highlight them in the following order: are the proposal to improve drainage, which for me is a public safety, it's a quality of life, it's definitely has economic implications, visitor experience if they feel threatened by flood risks. And we've seen here in Pawleys Island disabled vehicles, which is not the way a vacationer would want to spend their time in our beautiful community. Next, with the North Jetty proposal, I think Ray highlighted a lot of the purposes of this type of feature on our beach, but it definitely is a storm protection and hazard mitigation infrastructure piece on the island. It's been there for a long time, and we need to make sure that it functions the way it was originally designed to. Finally, the town hall generator project. Really hazard mitigation is super important, and making sure the town residents feel like they're know what to do prior to a storm impacting our region, and have resources available from the town in the event that storm does impact us. If we were to lose power at our town hall facility, that would impact my job, my ability, would impact our police department's housed in this facility. And so it's definitely a need that's been on my radar for a while. So I think circling back to the top, the proposal we included to improve the drainage on the island. This is a common theme in all of our comprehensive planning initiatives. We even had a specific study that was referenced to evaluate the future impacts of sea level rise to our community. I think it's fair to say, I should really do a run-in tally, but I think it's fair to say that on an average year, we experience about 20 to 25 episodes of king tide flooding, where it creates a nuisance to those coming on and off the island, and potentially creates a public safety issue. And we've kind of turned the corner here and starting to get some momentum on, okay, how do we go about doing it? The sea level rise adaptation study did a good job of highlighting the issue, where we experience the conditions most prevalently, but we know we needed to go above and beyond that to determine the best path forward. So we are in the process very preliminarily, but we received a grant from the South Carolina Rural Infrastructure Authority for $150,000 to develop a drainage master plan. So that's going to tell us in great detail when we begin that process. We should have a consultant on board really within about a month. We have we've received bids from consultants and are in the process of interviewing them, and want to have a consultant on board to take us through that process, which should be completed by, I would say, July 1st of next year. And the intention of that, the way we've scoped out the RFP, is to really go through the entire length of the island. This is predominantly a creek front point of emphasis, where we need to improve drainage. We have, I think by my count, something like 50 storm drain collection areas and 80, I think it's like 87 individual outfalls. And some of them are undersized. Some there are places on the island where where one might be warranted to kind of improve drainage in a particular stretch of the island. And then we'd like to also build upon a fairly successful pilot project in and around Town Hall, where we installed backflow preventer. So there's a device at the end of the pipe, the creek side of the pipe, that basically allows water not to come up through the creek and impact the roadways and adjacent properties. So, and they still function as intended, where stormwater can pass through from the land side out to the creek. And so we think there's definitely places to install them at other locations. So, the total cost estimate that we proposed for tax commission's consideration was $2 million. This master drainage plan will provide us all the, I think the detailed cost estimates of each of the individual projects. I provided in my proposal things that I borrowed from a similar drainage plans that have been approved and implemented by the city of Folly Beach. We have cost estimates for these backflow preventers that we installed here at Town Hall, which are roughly $50,000 for each location. And then, we also would like to, explore some innovative practices, such as live-in shorelines and surveying some of the grant funding agencies like NOAA or other, federal or, federal agencies. Project of approximately 3,000 linear feet, which is the distance between the North and South Causeway here on Pawleys Island, comes in around $1 million. So that's where I generated the cost estimates for this. In terms of what other funding sources we have available, I mentioned that funding for this master drainage plan, so that'll help us get to some more details on the specific scope of work that we're looking to accomplish. We do have a state allocation in the state budget of $250,000. That was courtesy of Representative Hewitt, who we briefed regularly on our sea level rise adaptation plan. So that funding is available to help kickstart this whole initiative. But again, it's kind of paramount importance to us. We are hopeful that we're not one step behind of the way this sales tax initiative is scheduled. And, I would say, take us a couple of years into the sales tax collection, before we're really ready to implement some of these projects. I think our request is $2 million, but, I think it's going to be a long-term initiative that is going to go, above and beyond that to accomplish what we need to here on Pawleys Island. So we're not looking to rely exclusively on the sales tax initiative. We realize that we need to plan both from a structural engineering standpoint, but also from a financial standpoint moving forward. Maybe I'll stop for questions on that particular proposal. I'm happy to turn to the next proposal, which is the North Jetty study. This one we're fortunate enough to have more detail.
Hey, Daniel, I'm sorry,
Yep.
I was sort of
Yep.
late to the draw on the
Yep.
mute button. The flooding on Pawleys, just that, anybody that's been out there periodically during either storms or king tides, which is a more common issue, or just big tides with north wind, how many weeks a year do you believe visitors and people are affected?
Yeah, so I would say this is I think this is on the low end. I'd say there's like 20 to 25 days a year where I am closely monitoring the tide levels, the weather conditions, and being prepared to issue advisories to our property owners and then to the broader public. And one thing that almost feels like a minor miracle, but with the December nor'easter storm event, we did not have a single disabled vehicle on the island that I was aware of. And so, communications is absolutely vital. We know the impacts that occurred, in the city of Georgetown, where many vehicles were flooded. But it's I've seen many examples of, let's say, a wedding an event occurring on the island, and despite our best efforts to advise folks of king tide, forecasted king tides over that time frame, there'll be a disabled vehicle along the side of the road from someone who just didn't heed those warnings and drove through the king tide flood. And so I think this really does have economic implications. I think if a visitor has one of those unfortunate occurrences, they might not want to come back to Pawleys Island or tell their friends of the issue. So we're very much reliant from just a local government perspective on our local accommodations tax revenues. So, and just generally the quality of life and really the safety, public safety. I know Midway Fire and Rescue does have a high water vehicle. I've been on it. It's a great piece of equipment for our area, but it's a little bit of a dicey situation when we have to rely on that more often than we need outside of a true hurricane event. So
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, question: if this project goes through, I presume it won't stop all king tide flooding at Pawleys. There will still be some events other than outside of hurricanes when the roads are expected to be flooded. Is that the case?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is going to be a long-term initiative. We're glad that we've gotten the ball started. I admire our town council for taking the step forward with the sea level rise adaptation plan. There is operation and maintenance involved with stuff like this. We need to maintain the system that's in place or the new things that we build. But I do think that's just the benefit of maintaining it will be worth it, just to have a less severe and less frequent flooding on the island. And I think our sea level rise adaptation plan does a good job of identifying the areas where the conditions are the greatest. I certainly think from a public safety perspective, a big where we really are targeting some of these improvements are between the north and south causeway, which is the two access points and gateways on and off the island. But there's I would say 5 or 6 areas where we would like to improve drainage over the course of time.
Other questions? Okay. Thanks, Dan. You want to go to the next one?
Sure. The North Jetty study is the next proposal we submitted, and this is a kind of a critical piece of infrastructure on our beach on the north end, and it's been in place for roughly 75 years, I believe, is the history of this structure on the island. Originally constructed by the South Carolina Highway Department, and I think some maintenance has been deferred on this structure, and again, pointing to the sea level rise adaptation plan that cites a projected 2 feet of sea level rise by 2050, really improving the structure to ensure continuing functionality and benefits to the Pawleys Island community is what is kind of outlined in our proposal and this study that was completed by our beach consultant that Ray, I'm glad to hear that Georgetown County is utilizing their expertise, coastal science and engineering. So this was a specific study that our town council authorized me to move forward with that kind of details, again, the areas where they're seeing some compromised portions of the structure and kind of a path forward on what it would take to not only just kind of keep it in its current serviceable condition, but also improve it so it really has a long-lasting benefit to the Pawleys Island community. It's that end of the beach is one of the wider areas of the beach, and popular amongst our visitor population. It's actually a site where many recreational fishermen utilize. I would say next to the North Causeway. It's kind of the most popular fishing spot on Pawleys Island, and those are certainly secondary to the storm protection of the properties on the north end of the island, where there's more houses that have been developed over the past let's say 10 to 20 years, where more residential structures are vulnerable if the event that this structure failed. But it just kind of fits in holistically with our engineered beach that's been studied and designed by Coastal Science Engineering. We've had that program in place. I think in preparation for the major beach renourishment project that occurred in 2020, we do have our beach surveyed on an annual basis that can kind of give us a snapshot of where sand is and what locations year after year. So definitely a vital step for us to get this study complete. I think it'll help us with the permitting process where we have a detail of what we're talking about, what we need to do with town council endorsement. And then, the cost estimates for this project are $275,000 to take it to a point where it'll be serviceable with that, 2 foot level, sea level rise built into the design specifications. I think that in a nutshell, that is what we're proposing in this project.
Questions on this one?
Yeah, Daniel, have there been any safety issues with the north end as it is currently constructed? It's been a few years since I've been out there, but I remember back when I was a kid, it was a pretty treacherous thing to try to stand on and fish off of in some places.
Yeah, good question there. I think it probably wouldn't be the worst idea if I put some signage of, we're careful about signs. I mean, signs are easily ignored. You can ask people who island property owners get frustrated when there's keep off the dune signs all on the beach, but there's still people walking all over the dunes, at various locations. But yeah, and I will say, just in the year, I mean, I've lived in Georgetown County for 15 years, and it's just amazing the dynamic on both the south end and the north end of the island, where it just, the structure, the purpose of the structure is to ensure some stability along the beachfront on that end of the island. But the condition, you can kind of tell, is at that point of deterioration where I think during Hurricane Ian, you had, some scarping that occurred right through a section of the structure, and that's been documented in this condition assessment. So that really enhanced the, hey, what the what if scenarios. But in terms of, yes, recreational fishing, and I'd be curious to know if there are any kind of advisories on like the jetty structure, navigational jetty structure on Huntington Beach State Park, where I know I've gone to, and a lot of people like to fish off of. So I haven't had any incidents. I will say I work very closely with our police department, and
That's good.
haven't had any incidents since I've been here on people injuring themselves or something happening.
I mean, bluntly, the real issue on that end of the island is it's, the island's like this is here. And so when nor'easters come in or storms, there are no dunes on the end of the island, right? They're on the front of the island. So it just breaches that. That's the issue. And it just wipes out whatever's in its way. Or at least it did during Ian, where it took out fences and walkways and whatever, because there's no natural protection other than that structure, which is deteriorated by, what'd you say, 2 feet, Daniel?
Yeah, it's the study identified just two notable areas that are, where the original, there, you can kind of tell from the pictures, there's some timber structure elements along with rock elements that compose this structure. So there are a couple portions, one closer to the creek side, and then one kind of right in the middle portion on that stretch mark that you're talking about, where there are really no, true dunes, kind of right where the house is, the beachward side of the house is, where, they're not really servicing in terms of functionality to the degree they need to be. So, the study is pretty well detailed in terms of where those compromised areas are, and the specific repairs that we're looking at, and the method for repair, and again, enhancement. We're really trying to, while we're working on this, really have it function for the lifespan that it already has functioned for the town, for 75 years. We don't think that there's much operation and maintenance aspects of this once we construct it to a design life of 75 years. There's definitely some monitoring just to make sure the condition is in decent shape. But we're really trying to move this through permitting on the near future. We think we have what we need to begin that process. And that way we'll be prepared to, really, move forward. And, certainly we would be very pleased to have support from, the sales tax initiative. I will say funding otherwise is a challenge. The structure is within a designated U.S. Fish and Wildlife coastal barrier resource area, which eliminates any eligibility for federal funding, and a lot of those federal funds are pass-through funds to the state. So it's not like we could just go to a state agency and requests funding as well, because some of that money might have originated from a NOAA program or other agencies. So we're really, as a point of emphasis, feel like a local, some local funding is going to really be critical to accomplish what we need to for the structure.
Hey, Dan, I'm asking this question out of ignorance.
Mhm.
But it kind of qualified it with some of what we heard from Ray. You know, they're doing the dredging and then doing in concert with that the the jetty work, to work in concert to hopefully do beach renourishment. All that stuff seems to work together. When's the last time the creek in Pawleys has been dredged?
I understand that there was dredging that occurred closer to the south end of Pawleys Island. I haven't really seen the detailed kind of permit for that, or I want to say that occurred in 2008. From
Only reason I ask is if we help with the $2 million on the flooding, the drainage,
Mhm.
and how does that work? Is there going to be requests for more funding for the dredging later? Does that make sense? Because they're also
Yeah.
every project
Mhm.
not every, so many of our projects deal with water. There's so much
Mm.
flooding in Georgetown. There's flooding here. There's the water in Garden City. There's roundabouts to drain water. There's bike paths to drain water. There's so many water projects.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
I just ask, have y'all thought about it holistically? This is drainage. Now, well, getting water from one place, put it to another, is it all connected?
Yeah, I think I do think that this jetty structure is really serves more as a storm protection and erosion control. It's really the purpose for this. So I do think there's some independent purposes between this proposal and kind of the drainage, the drainage proposal I briefed you on earlier. But in speaking to kind of creek dredging, I think one of the things, just from my level of knowledge, and I do need to expand it further, is that in comparison to Merle's Inlet, those are more specifically defined navigational channels. So there are no designated navigational channels that. I think the permitting is one aspect for dredging a water body like Pawleys Creek, where they're going to ask, well, what's the purpose? Is the purpose to improve navigation? Well, no, there's no identified kind of navigation channel to maintain like you have in and out of Merle's Inlet, or down through like the city of Georgetown. And so it's one of those things. Does our current level of knowledge regarding if there are correlations of dredging Pawleys Creek and improving drainage? I can't answer that with a true studied documented response, whether there's a correlation between those two. If you dredge, you're gonna improve drainage on Myrtle Avenue, Atlantic Avenue, etc.
Well, I'm not really asking for that. It just seemed like a question that's related elsewhere. So I was just going to ask the question.
No, it's a good question. It's been talked about, to answer, it's been talked about. We haven't gotten to a point where we've studied it in enough detail to, put forth a proposal that really has any, let's say, true specifics or an ask what that would cost. So we're not prepared to that degree with like a creek dredging project.
Hey, Daniel, I'm conscious of time. We do turn into a pumpkin at the bottom of the hour.
Yep. Yep.
Any other comments?
Yeah, not for me. And I'm happy to. I think the other one, the last one, if that I can highlight quickly is the town hall generator. If you've come to town hall, if you came today, if you come tomorrow, anytime, it's open. It services a lot of people. So I think there's definitely a countywide benefit to having that town hall facility. It serves as a quasi visitor center, and then it is imperative that that facility operates without interruption prior to a major storm event, and then be able to function the way it needs to following a hurricane event. So just looking back to Hurricane Ian, I was here during Hurricane Ian. We were very much all kind of functioned as almost like a mini emergency operations center with our police staff, Mayor Henry, and we're in direct contact with the Maine EOC office down in the city of Georgetown on most current weather forecasts, and just even sending pictures or documentation of the flood event during the storm. And then immediately afterward, some parts of the island did lose power for even I think up to almost up to 72 hours, but 48 hours for a number of property owners. And we had a town council meeting the following morning. The phones certainly were blowing up all the time, not only from property owners, but visitors that happen to be here on the island. A lot of people that aren't familiar, we have a very transient population here in the Waccamaw Neck now, think that our town hall services their neighborhood, whether it be Hagley, the tradition, it's like because their street address, their mailing address says it's Pawleys Island, and therefore, town hall, and it's convenient and it's immediate. It's a public building within their community. I had a number of meetings with FEMA, Georgetown County Emergency Management Department, Brandon Ellis, the National Weather Service, Department of Natural Resources here at our town hall within days of Hurricane Ian. So
Hey, Daniel, I apologize. We're at the end of the meeting time, and we sort of need to stick to that. I think the write-up on that is relatively self-explanatory.
Yep.
I do think council folks that we believe that one will not pass the qualification test as it looks here at the equipment-ish. We're getting a final readout on that via the county, but if you want to spend some time scoring it now in case it ends up being on the list, that's great. If not, we'll put it in this bucket called, doesn't meet criteria.
Okay. Yeah, and I plan to be at the meeting Thursday. So if there are any follow-up questions, I'd be glad to answer them for any of these projects. So thank you for your time today. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks, Daniel.
Yep. Yeah,
Thank you,
of course.
Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah, thanks,
You're
Daniel.
welcome.
Hey, thank you very much, Daniel.
Yeah.
And with that, I will, we should probably wrap the meeting. If you guys have any questions, email it. And next meeting is on Thursday at, got my calendar. Thursday at 5:30 at Southern Georgetown. 5:30 Southern Georgetown Library. So plan in plenty of travel time to get there. And Walt or I will send out an email clarifying what we're going to go through at this point and the details of the specifics of the agenda. But I feel like we're making really good progress on getting through things. We'll have some good discussion. Anything else?
Mr. Chair, I'm going to try to make sure that we can get someone from Georgetown County Water and Sewer District at this next meeting.
That'd be great. Anything else? All right. Thank you all very much. Good meeting.
We need a motion
Oh,
to
I'm sorry. We need
adjourn,
to
sir.
formally close. Yeah, sorry. I've got a meeting backed up on
Make
this
a
one.
motion.
Mick, thank you, Gary. Second,
Second.
So moved.
all in favor?
So moved. Now
Aye.
I'm the chairman.
Aye.
Thank you all very much. We'll see you.
Thanks.
Thank you all.